Hello, folks. How are you? Happy Saturday. I've got my green screen ready. The green screen is on here because we're ready to do Razzmatazz behind me real soon. In the next few days, today in history, we'll have little pictures of the people we're talking about. And why not do that, right? I mean, today in history deserves that kind of thing, that kind of treatment. That's what we do. It's part of the service, damn it. That's what we do. Anyway, hi, happy Saturday to anyone who happened to be coming on. We're expanding today in history a little bit in the next few days, which is an exciting thing because I always preface our videos by saying eventually, well, we wanted to always do this. Today in history was always supposed to be rock history book. That's what we wanted to do. So that's the plan. So we're going to go bigger. When we talk about someone, you're going to see them back here. Just put up the green screen. Little wrinkly on that side. What the heck? Got to get the ironing board out. Anyway, before we go on, we just started a Patreon, and I want to account, and I want to say it's just rock history music. It's Patreon / rock history channels. It's in the description of this video. So if you want to become a patron, there's a lot of benefits. Before we go on, I want to thank Tom Cox, Frederick Auber, Christopher Butler, J.M. Stewart for donations to the channel, and our new patrons, Barbara Lawton, John O'Leary, Melody Roberstad, Todd Crocker, and Michael Lewis. Thank you very much for supporting the channel and making this possible. So shall we get to it? Shall we get to today in history? We're going to start doing this at 5 o'clock Eastern. It's going to be our time of just talking about the people who, well, had something to do with our rock and roll lives in the past. If it's your birthday, first of all, happy birthday. Congratulations. Hope you had a great day. 1946. We start big. Bon Scott was born in Scotland. And he moved to Australia where he met Malcolm and Angus Young. And mayhem ensued. No, they did well with AC/DC. Highway to Hell was Bon Scott's last album. We lost on February 19th, 1980. And what would have been, I don't know. I mean, they became an even bigger band after he left. Was he really the voice of AC/DC? Yeah, he was. But Brian Johnson did a really, really good job. In 1957, Mark Allman, a lead vocalist for Soft Cell, was born. His legal name is Peter Mark Sinclair Allman in Lancashire, England. Hi, Dwayne, my friend from Edmonton. 1959, Simple Minds lead singer Jim Kerr was born in Glasgow, Scotland. He married Chrissy Hynde. They're not married anymore, but he did marry her. In 64, a controversial figure, actress, singer Courtney Love was born. Of course, known for a certain grunge band. She married this guy. Of course, we know who he is. People who passed away on this date. Milan Williams in 2006. He was a keyboardist for the Commodores. He died of cancer at 58. And events in rock and roll on this date. There's always, there's certain dates. Like my wife and one of the writers who put this together said, there's lots going on today. There's so much going on. Well, in rock and roll, if you want to dig deep, there's lots going on every single day. And again, we say if it's your birthday, happy birthday to you. This is what happened on this day on your birthday. Bill Haley and his comments went to number one with the single Rock Around the Clock. It was number one for 8 weeks, known as the first major rock and roll single, one of the biggest selling of all time. In 58, Johnny Cash, the Man in Black, signed with Columbia Records. He went on to work with them for 30 years, releasing 60 albums. He was very prolific. He had such a nice timbre in his voice, huh? Even at the end. Well, at the end, it became a little hoarse, but man, what a contribution to the rock and roll. Well, to not rock and roll, but to basically music, which influenced rock and roll a lot. Country mostly, of course. 1962, Bob Dylan, who's on the banner, you might have seen, recorded Blowing in the Wind at Columbia Recording Studios in New York during just an afternoon session. Just hanging out, recording one of the most iconic songs of all time. I think I'll do it, put it down. 1965, Otis Redding started recording at Stax Studios in Memphis, Tennessee, his third album, Otis Blue. Big day for the Beatles. It seems like the Beatles are kind of in today in history almost every day. Because with every passing day, people will dig a little deeper and come up with another Beatles anecdote, quote, day in history. In 69, hi Dwayne, I saw Bob Dylan live in Edmonton in 1990. Cool. I've never seen Bob Dylan. The Beatles in 69, working at Abbey Road Studios, recorded Maxwell's Silver Hammer. John Lennon was recovering from a car accident, and they put a bed at Abbey Road because Yoko Ono was actually injured a little bit more than him. In 71, David Bowie started recording at Trident Studio in London, what would become the rise and fall of Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars. In 83, the Police started an 8-week run at number one. Hi, Melody R. Thanks for joining our Patreon, by the way. I mentioned you off the top. With one of the most played songs of all time, Every Breath You Take, went number one in the UK on this date. In 1988, Cheap Trick went to number one with The Flame, I Want You to Want Me. I know that was a different era of the band. In 67, something kind of interesting happened. The Monkees, well, Jimi Hendrix Experience, were supporting the Monkees. The most mismanaged thing in the face of the earth, the fact that Jimi Hendrix would be opening for the Monkees, who at the time were barely known as musicians, even though some of them were musicians. And Dick Clark and Hendrix manager Chas Chandler decided they would cook up a scheme of saying, oh, some politician saw them live and he or she was really disturbed by Jimi Hendrix on this bill, instead of just saying this was a mismatched pair from the beginning. So he came off the tour. In 71, Grand Funk, without having any huge hits, it had hits. And I'm talking to Mark Farner coming up in about a week and a half for our third time. They did something unbelievable. They sold out Shea Stadium, 55,000 tickets in New York City. They had no big number one hits, but they flew in on a helicopter. Mark Farner told me about this. He says it was weird coming in and looking down and seeing the expanse, not of the land, but of the people. In 72, Paul McCartney did his first show since working with the Beatles on stage in 66 at a French town in Château-Villon with Wings. In 74, Rush signed a deal with Mercury Records. They were very impressed by the self-titled debut album because of the fact that it was self-promoted. And they released the title track, Working Man. In 1995, Grateful Dead did their last show with Jerry Garcia, who died during a stint at drug rehab. And in 2011, Robert Plant, frontman, of course, for a little-known band called Led Zeppelin, did a fundraiser charity show in Monmouth, Wales. Tickets were £3. That's crazy. The event was a tribute to former Led Zeppelin producer Pat Moran, who died of rare dementia in January of that year. Before I get to your comments, again, I want to thank the people who supported the channel. You don't have to. I always say times are hard, but if you can, we'd appreciate it. It'll certainly make our videos bigger and more frequent. Tom Cox, Frederick Auber, Christopher Butler, J.M. Stewart, and our new patrons, Barbara Lawton, John O'Leary, Melody Roberstad, Todd Crocker, Michael Lewis. Thank you. If you want to join our Patreon, there's many different tiers where you can be a one-on-one with us or a group chat. Or if you want to start a YouTube channel, I will give you one-on-one training, which is sort of a cool thing. I've always wanted to do it. I've helped a few people start their channel, and I like doing it. So it's Patreon/Rock History channels, but the link is in the description of this video. So check it out. Help us if you can. Support us, and we'll get bigger. So Dwayne, thank you for coming on tonight. Appreciate that. Teddy Bates. Hey, John, Toto started the European tour today. Yes. I'm looking to get a second interview with David Paich in July, which we are in. I've been told he'll make himself available for a second interview. The first one hasn't gone up yet, and I mentioned this before because the Toto people do not want us to feature the interview with David Paich until nearer to the release date, which I think is either the 19th or the 25th. I think it's the 19th of August. So Melissa Ingham, Nova Scotia Melissa loves The Flame. Hey, isn't that a great song? Yeah, I've played that on the radio so many times in the last 40 years. The townspeople, hey, how can I donate? Great stuff every day. You can donate. There's a link. There's a link at the very top of the description. If you just want to donate, there's a PayPal link. If you want to become a Patreon, depending upon how you want to pronounce it, there is a Patreon link as well. And please do. Thank you. It means an awful lot to us because YouTube is 1 month you're making this much, then you're making this much, then you're making this much, then you're making this much. And we're trying to support a family. So thank you, the townspeople. Jeffrey says, looks like Ozzy Osbourne is getting the last laugh at age 73. Most rock stars are checking out early before age 70. You know what? It's amazing. You know, he's still around. Teddy Bates. Hi from New York City. Hey, Teddy. How you doing, buddy? Thank you for being here. Floyd the Barber. Have you ever heard Farmer's version of It's a Man's World with Grand Funk? No, I don't think I have. I was just listening to Grand Funk before I came on. I was just listening to them on Spotify and just closer to home. Oh, man. Mark Farner. He's the man. And you know, when I interview him, I think I'm interviewing him on the 25th of July. When I interview him, he's just going to go, hey, Brother John, because he calls me Brother John. And if I was named Phil, he'd call me Brother Phil. He calls everyone brother whatever. He's a good guy. He's a great interview. He makes an effort. Not everyone does. Most people do. And I'm looking forward to talking to him. So again, thank you to the folks who joined our Patreon. We just started this yesterday. I was reluctant to start a Patreon account, but I realized that YouTube is just too unstable. And in order for us to continue doing this, I needed to start a Patreon account so that I would not be looking at the clock going, oh man, I'm not going to be able to do this anymore. So we need more stability financially for sure. So thank you for the folks who joined up. If you want to donate, it's right at the very top of, there's a PayPal link where you can donate. If you just want to donate, buy a t-shirt or else join our Patreon and spread the word, please. Spread the gospel of rock history music, rock history book. So there you go. Everything's in the very top of the description. Thank you for indulging me tonight. Thank you for coming on. We're going to end the video, but it's going to come on right away. Lots happened today. Robert Plant, Grateful Dead, Paul McCartney, Jimi Hendrix Experience, The Monkees, Cheap Trick, The Police, David Bowie, The Beatles, Otis Redding, Bob Dylan, Johnny Cash, Bill Haley. So there you go. Oh, one more comment before we leave. Floyd the Barber. Another great Grand Funk album cut is Little Johnny Hooker. Pure. I was just listening to that. Hey, Sam. How you doing, buddy? Thank you for coming on, everyone. We're going to try to do this at 5 o'clock Eastern every day. It doesn't always work out that way. We didn't even do it yesterday because our daughter was having we have an autistic 24-year-old daughter. She was just having a bad time, and I thought, I can't leave my wife in case she has a seizure and do this. So now and then we'll record them just in case I can't do them live. I'd rather do it live because it's a lot more fun. The green screen is here before we leave because when I talk about someone, you're going to see them in the background. So we're just setting that up now. We want to make it bigger. Promised you that. So thank you for patrons. If you want to support us, it's in the description. Take care of yourself. Have a nice weekend. And hey, we'll be back tomorrow. Oh, fans are reporting Joan Jett looks angry when singing her songs. I don't know what that means. Okay, she's known to do that. Bye.